The crime revealed. The year was 2563, and Earth had finally rebuilt itself from centuries of chaos. Humanity stood united under a single banner, exploring the stars with a quiet determination. But peace was not without its price. The Galactic Council, a coalition of advanced alien species, watched over the galaxy. They claimed to maintain order, but whispers of their darker deeds reached Earth's ears over the years. On an otherwise quiet evening, a burst of static erupted in the communications center of Earth's global command. Commander Elena Drayton, a sharp-eyed leader with a history of questioning authority, leaned forward as the noise resolved into an encrypted signal. The team of analysts worked quickly to decode it. What they found left the room in stunned silence. The signal was a recording, a desperate transmission from a human voice. "We were left behind. Millions of us. Betrayed. If anyone hears this, remember what they did." The transmission was centuries old, but the pain in the voice felt fresh. Further analysis revealed its origin. A long-lost human colony, destroyed in an event labeled as a natural disaster by the Galactic Council. Yet this recording hinted at something much darker. The Council had deliberately targeted the colony and ensured no survivors could call for help. As Elena read the declassified files that followed, she felt a cold rage building. The Council had labeled humanity as a dangerous, chaotic species during its first steps into space. The colony, situated on the edge of the galaxy, was meant to serve as a test. If the humans of that colony could be controlled, humanity might be allowed a place in the galactic community. But the colony refused to submit, and the Council deemed it expendable. "Commander," one of the analysts said, breaking her train of thought, "there's more." The recording mentions an ancient fleet. It says Earth prepared for this betrayal long ago. Elena frowned. The idea of an ancient fleet sounded like a myth, a story passed down from humanity's darker times. Yet the evidence couldn't be ignored. The recording mentioned a location deep in the asteroid belt near Jupiter, a place marked in no modern maps but referenced in ancient Earth records as Project Sentinel. Curiosity burned through her frustration. Elena called an emergency meeting with Earth's leaders. The Council of Earth listened to the evidence in grim silence. President Ravi Mathur, an older man known for his strategic brilliance, finally spoke. "If this is true," he said, "then the Galactic Council has committed a crime against humanity. And if this ancient fleet exists, we must find it. The galaxy needs to know we will not be silenced." The decision was unanimous. A team was assembled, scientists, historians, and military strategists, to investigate the claims. Among them was Dr. Isaac Monroe, an eccentric historian obsessed with Earth's forgotten past, and Captain Murray Torres, a skilled pilot who had flown missions into uncharted space. Together, they would unravel the truth behind the Council's crime. As the team prepared for their journey, whispers of the discovery began to spread. Not all on Earth agreed with challenging the Galactic Council, fearing retaliation. And while most of the galaxy remained unaware of humanity's awakening anger, there were those in the Council who sensed a disturbance. Far away on the Council's capital planet, a sleek figure in a flowing robe observed the movements on Earth through a holographic display. Councillor Terrell, a high-ranking official, narrowed his eyes. "They found something," he muttered to himself. "We cannot let them uncover the past. Humanity must remain under control." Back on Earth, the search for Project Sentinel began. Deep in the asteroid belt, the team found an enormous structure hidden inside a massive rock formation. The structure hummed faintly with dormant power, as if it had been waiting for someone to arrive. The part ended with Captain Murray's voice echoing through her communicator. "Commander, you're going to want to see this. I think we just found the key to humanity's survival and revenge." The search for the fleet. The ancient structure in the asteroid belt was unlike anything the team had ever seen. It was a fortress carved into the rock, its metallic surface worn but intact. Strange symbols etched into its walls glowed faintly as the team approached, as though recognizing their presence. Captain Mara Torres guided her ship carefully through the narrow passageways leading to the fortress. "It's been centuries," she muttered to herself, "and yet it feels like it's alive." Her voice carried a mix of awe and unease as the team landed on a platform large enough to hold a fleet of ships. Commander Elena Drayton's voice crackled over the comms. "Mara, proceed with caution. We don't know what's in there, or what's still active." Dr. Isaac Monroe, the team's historian, was already suited up and eager to disembark. "This could be the find of the millennium," he exclaimed, clutching a portable scanner. "Imagine the technology, the history. This isn't just a fortress, it's a time capsule." As the team stepped inside, lights flickered on, one by one, illuminating a cavernous hall filled with towering ships. Each vessel bore Earth's ancient insignia, but their designs were nothing like modern human crafts. They looked sleeker, more advanced, as if they belonged to a race far older than the one standing before them. "These ships don't just look advanced," murmured Mara, running her hand along the cool surface of one. "They are advanced, way ahead of anything we've got today." Isaac's scanner beeped loudly, interrupting the moment. "There's something alive in here," he said, his voice trembling with excitement. "A signal buried deep within the structure. It's faint, but it's there." The team followed the signal to a central chamber, where they found a massive console. Its surface shimmered with holographic displays in a language no one could read. But when Isaac approached, the console lit up and began speaking in a deep mechanical voice. "Humanity," it said, "you have returned. The fleet has waited for this moment." Elena, watching from Earth through a live feed, leaned forward in her chair. "What does it mean? The fleet has waited. Waited for what?" The voice continued, ignoring the question. "Access restricted. Authorization required. Only those with the blood of the founders may awaken the fleet." Confusion spread among the team. The founders. Who were they, and how could they unlock this forgotten power? Isaac, ever the optimist, suggested a DNA test. After all, human genetics had evolved since the fleet was hidden, but traces of the original colonists' DNA might still exist. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was not idle. Councillor Tyrell had been monitoring Earth's activities closely. When the fleet's energy signature emerged from the asteroid belt, his fears were confirmed. He immediately dispatched an elite task force to destroy the site before humanity could fully awaken its ancient power. "Send a message to Earth," Tyrell commanded. "They will cease all activity or face consequences they cannot imagine." Back in the asteroid belt, the team's search for answers grew more urgent. Mara and Isaac worked together to analyze the DNA profiles of their crew. After hours of tense waiting, the console finally recognized Mara's genetic code. A low hum filled the chamber as the dormant systems of the fortress began to awaken. "You're the key," Isaac whispered, his face a mix of awe and disbelief. "Your lineage, it connects to the founders." Before Mara could respond, alarms blared throughout the fortress. Elena's voice came through the comms, sharp and urgent. "We've got company. The Council is sending ships your way. You need to get out of there. Now." The team scrambled to power up the ancient ships, but centuries of dormancy had left them slow to react. The console's voice returned, calm despite the chaos. "Defense systems offline. Manual activation required." Mara clenched her fists. "We don't have time for this. Isaac, find the controls. I'll buy us some time." Outside the fortress, Council ships began their assault. Mara took command of one partially powered vessel, its ancient weapons sputtering to life just in time to return fire. The battle was chaotic, with the Council's sleek, modern ships overwhelming the fortress's defenses. But as the fortress's systems continued to power up, the tide began to turn. One by one, dormant ships roared to life, their energy weapons cutting through the Council's fleet like a knife through paper. The ancient fleet was waking, and it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The part ended with Mara standing at the helm of her ship, determination etched across her face. "This isn't just about revenge anymore," she said softly. "This is about survival." The fleet awakens. The hum of the awakening fleet resonated through the asteroid fortress like a heartbeat. Each ship, once lifeless and cold, now pulsed with energy as ancient systems roared to life. Mara Torres stood at the helm of the first operational vessel, her hands gripping the controls tightly. The interface, though alien in design, seemed to respond to her instinctively, as if it recognized her. Around her, the Galactic Council's ships circled like predators, their sleek, modern designs outnumbering the ancient fleet. Yet the Council forces hesitated, wary of the sudden surge in energy from the newly awakened ships. "Mara," Commander Elena Drayton's voice crackled through the comms. "The Council fleet isn't retreating. They're buying time for reinforcements. You need to get out of there before it's too late." Mara's jaw tightened. "We can't leave, Commander. Not yet. The fleet isn't fully online, and if we abandon it now, we lose everything." Dr. Isaac Monroe, huddled in the fortress's control room, worked furiously to stabilize the systems. "These ships aren't just advanced," he said, his voice shaking with excitement. "They're sentient. They're learning from us as we're learning from them." "Less theorizing, Isaac," Mara snapped. "We need firepower, not philosophy." The fortress's ad voice chimed in, its tone eerily calm. "Weapon systems at 50% capacity. Hull integrity compromised in multiple sectors. Warning, enemy reinforcements detected." Isaac froze. "Reinforcements? How many?" 17 additional vessels, the AI replied. "Estimated time to arrival, 7 minutes." Mara slammed her fist against the console. 7 minutes isn't enough to power up the entire fleet. We'll be sitting ducks. But the AI's next statement changed everything. "A secondary protocol is available, initiating fleet synchronization, if the pilot consents." Mara hesitated. What kind of synchronization? The AI's holographic interface shifted, displaying a map of the fleet. Direct neural link. Pilot must connect to fleet systems, allowing for collective operation. Warning. Risks include neural overload and permanent damage to cognitive functions. "Absolutely not," Elena shouted over the comms. "Mara, that's suicide." But Mara's gaze was steady. "If we don't do this, we lose the fleet. We lose everything." She turned to Isaac. "Can this work?" Isaac hesitated, then nodded. "If anyone can handle it, it's you. Your DNA profile already shows a unique compatibility with the system. But the risks are real." Mara took a deep breath. "Then let's do it." As the neural link activated, tendrils of light snaked from the console, wrapping around Mara's wrists and temples. Her vision blurred as the ship's systems merged with her mind. Suddenly, she wasn't just piloting one ship. She was connected to all of them. She could feel the energy coursing through the fleet, the dormant power waiting to be unleashed. She could also feel the enemy closing in, their ships moving in precise, coordinated formations. But now she had something they didn't, a unified fleet operating as one entity. "Mara, are you still with us?" Elena's voice was faint, distant. "I'm here," Mara said, her voice steady but layered with an otherworldly resonance. "And so is the fleet." The first wave of Council ships moved in for the kill, their weapons firing in unison. But Mara's mind reacted faster than human reflexes. The ancient ships moved as one, their shields absorbing the impact before retaliating with devastating precision. Energy beams lanced through the Council fleet, slicing ships in half and scattering the survivors. "She's controlling all of them," Isaac whispered, watching the battle unfold on the fortress's monitors. "It's like they're an extension of her." But the synchronization took its toll. Mara's body trembled under the strain, her breathing ragged. Sweat dripped down her face as the neural link pushed her to her limits. The Council reinforcements arrived moments later, their firepower overwhelming. Mara's fleet, still not fully operational, struggled to keep up. The battle became a chaotic dance of survival, with ancient ships trading blows against impossible odds. "Commander," Mara said, her voice cracking, "I can't hold this much longer. We need more time." Isaac's eyes widened as he studied the fortress's schematics. "There's a failsafe built into the system, a last resort weapon. But activating it could destroy the entire asteroid field." Alina's voice cut through the chaos. "We can't risk that, Isaac." "Mara, fall back. You've done enough." But Mara's connection to the fleet revealed something new, a hidden subroutine buried deep within the system. "No," she said, her voice filled with determination. "There's another way." With a final surge of strength, Mara activated the subroutine. The ancient fleet emitted a pulse of energy that temporarily disabled the Council's ships, buying precious minutes. The AI's voice confirmed her actions. Synchronization complete. Fleet at 80% operational capacity. The part ended with Mara collapsing into her seat, her mind barely holding onto consciousness. Around her, the fleet glowed with renewed power, ready for the battles yet to come. The Council strikes back. The Galactic Council's homeworld was a hive of activity as the remnants of their fleet limped back. Councillor Terrell stood in the Grand Chamber, staring at the holographic projection of Earth's newly awakened fleet. The ancient human ships shimmered like ghosts, their energy signatures unlike anything recorded in the galactic archives. "They have awakened a relic," Terrell growled, his voice low and filled with disdain. "We cannot allow this abomination to threaten the order of the galaxy." Around him, the other councillors murmured in agreement, their faces a mix of fear and anger. "We must act decisively," one of them said. "Earth must be reminded of its place." Terrell turned sharply. "I have already dispatched the Revenant Protocol." The chamber fell silent. The Revenant Protocol was the Council's most feared weapon, a fleet of semi-autonomous dreadnoughts powered by synthetic intelligence. Designed to suppress entire civilizations, these ships were merciless and precise. "Let the humans face the consequences of their arrogance," Terrell declared. "Their ancient fleet will crumble under the might of the Revenants." On Earth's front lines. Back in the asteroid belt, Mara Torres sat in the command chair of the flagship, her body still recovering from the neural link. Despite her exhaustion, her connection to the fleet remained strong, her mind now partially fused with its systems. "Commander," she said, her voice steady despite the strain. "The fleet is fully operational. We're ready to push back." Commander Elena Drayton's voice came through the comms. "Good work, Mara. But we've got a problem. Intel suggests the Council is deploying something called the Revenant Protocol. Any idea what that is?" Dr. Isaac Monroe, monitoring transmissions in the fortress, paled as he brought up the Council's records. "The Revenants. They're not ships. They're nightmares. Fully automated, self-repairing, and programmed to annihilate." Mara clenched her fists. "Then will be their worst nightmare." Before they could prepare, the Revenants arrived, their dark, angular forms emerging from hyperspace. Unlike the Council's previous forces, these ships moved with a chilling precision, their weapons firing in perfect synchrony. Their very presence seemed to darken the surrounding space. The first clash was devastating. The Revenants tore through the front line of Earth's fleet, their adaptive shields neutralizing the ancient ship's advanced weaponry. For every Revenant destroyed, two more appeared, their AI rapidly learning and countering Earth's tactics. "We're losing ships," Mara shouted, her voice echoing through the comms. "These things are evolving." Isaac's fingers flew across his console. "I'm analyzing their patterns. Give me a minute. No, 30 seconds. "We don't have 30 seconds," Mara barked, narrowly dodging a barrage of plasma fire. Suddenly, the AI voice of the fortress interrupted. "Ancient protocol detected. Countermeasure available. Authorization required." Mara's heart skipped a beat. What kind of countermeasure? The AI hesitated. "Deployment of the Nemesis wave. Warning. Collateral damage likely. Protocol requires consent of Fleet Commander. Alina, watching from Earth, cut in. Mara, don't even think about it. We can't risk destroying our own forces. But Mara's mind worked quickly. The Nemesis wave was the only option against the adaptive revenants. If we don't stop them here, they'll destroy Earth, she said grimly. Isaac, how do I activate it? Isaac hesitated and sighed. You need to channel your neural link to override the safety protocols, but it will push your mind past its limits. Mara's voice softened. We all knew the risks when we started this. If this is what it takes to save Earth, so be it. The Nemesis wave. As Mara reconnected to the neural link, the fleet responded in kind. Ships began to reposition themselves, forming a massive circular array around the revenants. The Fortress AI guided Mara's mind, sensing the fleet into a single devastating weapon. The revenants, sensing the change, adapted their tactics, converging on the flagship. Mara's vision blurred as the neural link pushed her deeper into the fleet's systems. She could feel every ship, every energy pulse, every weapon charging. Nemesis wave ready, the AI announced. Final consent required. Mara, barely able to speak, whispered, "Fire." A blinding pulse of energy erupted from the fleet, sweeping across the battlefield. The Revenant's adaptive shields failed instantly, their hulls disintegrating under the sheer force of the wave. The pulse continued outward, tearing through the asteroid belt and leaving nothing but silence in its wake. When the light faded, the Revenants were gone. But so were several of Earth's own ships caught in the blast. Mara collapsed into her seat, unconscious, as the neural link finally disconnected. Aftermath. The battlefield was eerily quiet. Survivors from Earth's fleet regrouped, their numbers diminished but their spirits unbroken. On Earth, Alina received the news with a mixture of relief and sorrow. Mara. Alina called over the comms, her voice trembling. Mara, are you there? A faint reply came through. Still here, Mara said weakly. But we're not done yet. The part ended with the Galactic Council receiving word of the Revenants' defeat. Councillor Tyrell stared at the report in disbelief. Impossible, he whispered. They should have fallen. How is humanity this resilient? His words were met with silence as the Council realized the truth. Earth was no longer a small, underestimated world. It was a force that could not be ignored. The forgotten survivors. The Revenant threat had been neutralized, but at a cost that left Earth's fleet reeling. The Nemesis wave had crippled a significant portion of their forces, and the survivors were left battered and exhausted. On board the flagship, Mara Torres awoke in the medical bay, her body weak, but her mind sharper than ever. The neural link had left a mark on her. She could still feel the faint echoes of the fleet in her thoughts. Commander Alina Drayton's voice came through the comms. Mara, there's something you need to see. We've received a transmission, but it's not from the Council. Mara sat up, wincing at the strain. Who's it from? It's from the survivors, Alina said, her voice heavy with emotion. The ones the Council left behind centuries ago. The message from the void. The transmission was faint, distorted by centuries of isolation. A weathered human face appeared on the screen, framed by the cold steel of a derelict station. The man spoke with a mix of desperation and defiance. If you're receiving this, he began, then Earth has found its strength again. We are the forgotten, the survivors of the Council's crime. They left us to die, but we endured. And now, we hold the key to their destruction. The message contained coordinates to a hidden colony, deep in uncharted space, where the survivors had built a life despite overwhelming odds. More importantly, the message hinted at vital knowledge, a weakness in the Galactic Council's core systems, something only the forgotten survivors could reveal. We have their secrets, the man continued, but we cannot hold out much longer. Come quickly, or there will be nothing left. A race against time. The coordinates led to a treacherous region of space, known as the Shattered Veil, a maze of collapsing stars and unstable wormholes. The Council, aware of the message, had already dispatched a fleet to intercept the forgotten colony and erase any evidence of their crime. Alina called an emergency meeting. If the Council gets there first, they'll wipe out the survivors and their knowledge. We can't let that happen. But our fleet is barely holding together, Dr. Isaac Monroe argued. We're not ready for another battle. We don't have a choice, Mara interjected, her voice firm despite her weakened state. The survivors are the key. If we lose them, we lose everything. The decision was unanimous. Earth's remaining fleet, though diminished, set course for the Shattered Veil. The Forgotten Colony. Navigating the Shattered Veil was a challenge even for the advanced systems of the ancient fleet. Mara, still partially connected to the fleet's neural network, guided the ships through the chaotic region with precision. As they neared the coordinates, a massive debris field came into view, hiding a sprawling station built from scavenged materials. The Forgotten Colony was a marvel of human resilience. Despite centuries of isolation, the survivors had created a thriving community, complete with their own defensive systems. But it was clear they were outmatched. Council ships loomed on the horizon, their weapons charging for an assault. Mara opened a channel to the colony. This is Captain Mara Torres of Earth's fleet. We're here to help. The man from the transmission appeared again, his face filled with relief. You made it, but if you want to save us, you'll need to act fast. The battle for the Forgotten. The Council's fleet descended on the colony with overwhelming force, but Earth's ships were ready. Mara led the charge, coordinating the ancient fleet with a precision that left even the Council's commanders in awe. The survivors joined the fight, deploying makeshift weapons and traps to slow the enemy. It was a desperate battle, with the colony's very existence hanging in the balance. Isaac worked tirelessly from the flagship, analyzing the Council's tactics and feeding Mara real-time data. They're targeting the colony's core systems, he shouted. If they take it out, the whole station goes down. Mara didn't hesitate. Redirect all fire to their command ship. If we take it out, the rest will fall. The flagship's energy cannons roared to life, tearing through the Council's defenses. The command ship, heavily armored but vulnerable under coordinated fire, exploded in a blinding flash. The remaining Council ships retreated, their morale shattered. A shocking revelation. After the battle, Mara and Alina met with the leaders of the Forgotten. The man from the transmission introduced himself as Darius Kane, a direct descendant of the original colonists. He led them to a hidden chamber within the colony, where ancient data archives revealed the Council's greatest secret. The Council isn't just a government, Darius explained. It's a machine. Their power comes from an ancient AI core buried on their homeworld. It's how they've controlled the galaxy for millennia. The revelation sent shockwaves through the team. The Council's strength was rooted in technology far older than humanity itself. But the archives also revealed a vulnerability, an access key hidden somewhere on Earth, left behind by the Founders. The Founders knew this day would come, Darius said. They left us this message. The key lies within the cradle of humanity. The part ended with Mara staring at the message, a new fire in her eyes. Then we're going home. And we're going to end this. The turning point. The journey back to Earth was fraught with urgency. The data retrieved from the Forgotten Colony had revealed the Galactic Council's greatest secret. Their power came from an ancient AI core buried deep beneath their capital planet. More importantly, humanity held the key to disabling it, hidden somewhere on Earth, the cradle of humanity. Commander Elena Drayton called an emergency briefing aboard the flagship. The Council's AI controls their fleets, their governance, and even their economy. If we disable it, we cripple their entire empire. But we need to find the key first. Dr. Isaac Monroe, poring over the archives retrieved from the Forgotten, spoke up. The archives mention an ancient artifact called the Genesis Key. It was hidden on Earth centuries ago by the Founders, but its exact location is buried in Earth's oldest ruins. Alina frowned. Earth is a big place, Isaac. Do we have any idea where to start? Isaac nodded, a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. The archives point to a location near the Himalayas, an underground city, lost to time and myth. If the key is anywhere, it's there. The search begins. The fleet arrived at Earth amidst growing unrest. The Council's attacks had left humanity on edge, and news of the Revenant battle spread quickly. People looked to the ancient fleet and its battered heroes with a mix of hope and fear. Mara Torres, still recovering from her neural link, joined the ground team heading to the Himalayas. Despite her condition, she insisted on leading the expedition. "This isn't just about the fleet," she said. "It's about all of us. I won't stand on the sidelines." The team, composed of scientists, soldiers, and engineers, descended into the frozen wilderness. Guided by fragments of ancient maps and Isaac's interpretations, they uncovered the entrance to the underground city, a colossal stone gate sealed with intricate carvings. "These carvings," Isaac whispered, brushing snow away, "they're not just decorative. They're instructions." The gate opened with a low rumble, revealing a labyrinth of tunnels lit by faintly glowing crystals. The air was thick with the weight of history, as if the city itself remembered what had been left behind. The race against time. Inside the city, the team discovered relics of Earth's past, artifacts from the founders, preserved as if waiting for this moment. But the Genesis key remained elusive, hidden somewhere deep within the labyrinth. As the team pressed on, their progress was interrupted by a chilling realization. The Council had tracked them. Surveillance drones, cloaked and nearly silent, followed their every move. It wasn't long before the team's worst fears were confirmed. A Council strike force had landed, determined to seize the key for themselves. Mara rallied the team. "We're not letting them take this. Hold them off while we find the key." A brutal game of cat and mouse ensued within the labyrinth. Earth's soldiers, using the narrow tunnels to their advantage, ambushed the Council's forces, but the enemy was relentless. As the battle raged, Mara and Isaac pressed deeper into the city, guided by faint energy readings from their equipment. The revelation of the key. At the heart of the underground city, they found it, a crystalline artifact embedded in a pedestal, glowing with an inner light. The Genesis key was small, almost fragile in appearance, but its presence was overwhelming. Symbols etched into its surface pulsed faintly, as if aware of their arrival. Isaac stared in awe. "This is it. The founders created this to interface with the Council's AI core. With this, we can shut it down." Before they could celebrate, the room shook violently. The Council's forces had breached the final barrier, their weapons tearing through the ancient walls. Mara grabbed the key, its energy coursing through her as if it recognized her connection to the fleet. "We need to get this out of here. Now." The team fought their way back to the surface, the artifact's energy creating strange disruptions in the labyrinth. Crystals exploded, tunnels collapsed, and the entire city seemed to resist the intrusion. By the time they reached the surface, only a handful of the team remained. The turning point. As the fleet prepared to leave Earth, Mara addressed the global leaders via hologram. "The Council has taken everything from us, our colonies, our people, our dignity. But with this key, we have a chance to fight back, not just for Earth, but for every species the Council has oppressed." Her words ignited a fire across Earth. People rallied, inspired by the idea that humanity, once underestimated, could stand against the galaxy's most powerful force. But the Council wasn't idle. Their fleets began to converge on Earth, determined to destroy the Genesis key and end humanity's resistance once and for all. The part ended with Earth's ancient fleet preparing for the final confrontation. The key, now integrated with the flagship systems, pulsed with power as Mara stood on the bridge. "This is it," she said. "The turning point. We take the fight to them, or we lose everything." Justice delivered. The fleet hung in orbit above Earth, a blend of ancient power and modern resilience. At the heart of the flagship, the Genesis key pulsed steadily, its energy spreading through the fleet's systems. Mara Torres stood on the bridge, her resolve unshaken. Around her, the crew worked with quiet determination. This was the moment they had prepared for. Commander Elena Drayton's voice came over the comms. "Mara, the Council's fleet is mobilizing. They're deploying everything they have. If this fails—" Mara cut her off, her voice steady. "It won't fail. We've come too far." The Genesis key, now integrated into the flagship's neural systems, revealed its true purpose. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a tool designed to disrupt the Council's ancient AI core. But using it came with a cost. Mara would need to reconnect to the neural link, placing her mind and body at the center of the battle. The final assault. The fleet emerged from hyperspace on the edge of the Galactic Council's homeworld, a sprawling planet covered in crystalline cities and massive orbital defenses. The Council's fleet awaited them, a wall of ships blocking the way. Dr. Isaac Monroe studied the data streaming from the key. The AI core is buried beneath the central spire. If we can get close enough, the key will do the rest. Elena's voice crackled over the fleet-wide comms. "All units, this is it. Protect the flagship at all costs. No one fights alone." The battle began with a thunderous exchange of fire. Earth's ancient fleet, despite its advanced technology, was heavily outnumbered. Council ships swarmed in coordinated waves, their eye-controlled tactics precise and devastating. Mara, now fully connected to the fleet, directed every ship as if they were extensions of herself. Her mind raced with calculations, her vision filled with overlapping streams of data. Each move she made felt like an instinctive dance, countering the Council's maneuvers with brutal efficiency. The cost of victory. As the fleet pressed forward, the Genesis key began its work. Its energy surged through the flagship, amplifying its systems and disrupting the Council's AI network. Enemy ships faltered, their coordinated attacks breaking apart. But the strain on Mara was immense. Sweat dripped down her face as the neural link pushed her beyond human limits. Her crew watched in awe and fear, knowing that every moment she stayed connected brought her closer to collapse. Isaac's voice came through, desperate. "Mara, you have to disconnect. If you keep this up, you're mine." "I know the risks," she interrupted, her voice laced with pain. "Just keep the fleet moving." The Council's defenses were relentless. Massive orbital cannons fired, each shot shaking Earth's ships to their cores. The flagship, carrying the key, became the primary target. Shields flickered and failed, and hull breaches forced the crew to seal off entire sections. Mara pushed the fleet onward. "We're almost there," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Just a little further." The core breached. As the flagship reached the central spire, the Genesis key released its full energy. A beam of light shot from the flagship, piercing the planet's surface and burrowing deep into the AI core. The Council's ships froze mid-battle, their systems overwhelmed by the disruption. On the Council's homeworld, chaos erupted. The AI, the very heart of their power, began to collapse. Systems failed, cities went dark, and the Council's carefully constructed empire crumbled in an instant. Inside the flagship, Mara's body convulsed as the neural link reached its peak. Her crew worked frantically to stabilize her, but the connection was too strong. "Mara," Isaac shouted, "you did it. The core is down. Disconnect now." With the last of her strength, Mara severed the link. She collapsed into her chair, her breath shallow and her eyes unfocused. The Genesis key, its purpose fulfilled, dimmed and went silent. The aftermath. The Council's fleet, now leaderless and disorganized, fell back. Earth's forces pursued them briefly before returning to regroup. The battle was won, but the cost was heavy. Many ships were lost, and countless lives sacrificed. On the flagship, Mara was carried to the medical bay, her body barely clinging to life. Elena stood by her bedside, her expression grim but proud. "You saved us," she said softly. "You saved all of us." Back on Earth, the victory was met with celebration and mourning. The Galactic Council's tyranny had ended, but the galaxy was left in disarray. Humanity, once underestimated and oppressed, now stood as a beacon of resilience and strength. A new beginning. Weeks later, Mara awoke in a quiet room aboard the flagship. Isaac sat by her side, his face lighting up when she opened her eyes. "You're a hero," he said, his voice cracking. "The galaxy owes you everything." Mara managed a weak smile. "We're not done yet," she whispered. "The Council may be gone, but there's a whole galaxy out there that needs rebuilding." The story ended with Earth's fleet departing the Council's ruined homeworld, its ships carrying hope and determination. The Genesis key, now a symbol of humanity's strength, was returned to Earth and placed in a vault, a reminder of the cost of freedom. As the flagship disappeared into the stars, a final message echoed in Mara's mind, a remnant of the Genesis key's connection. Humanity is stronger together. Remember this.